All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the final press conference as we are 2 days away until we go live with Triller Fight Club pay-per-view. In our main event of the evening, the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, the Phenom Vitor Belfort, will square off against the former unified cruiserweight and former unified heavyweight champion of the world, the Real Deal, Evander Holyfield. Also, our co-main event going to be a terrific matchup. It features the former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Anderson the Spider Silva, as he will take on the Huntington Beach bad boy, the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, Tito Ortiz. Also on the evening, a matchup between two friends whose friendship will take a sabbatical, as the former cruiserweight champion of the world and former heavyweight titleist, the Haymaker David Haye, will take on the very tough Joe Fournier, who has an undefeated record. Also, Jono Carroll will match up against Andy Vences. Now, originally, we were supposed to be in Los Angeles because Oscar De La Hoya was going to make his return to take on Vitor Belfort, but Oscar came down with COVID-19. We saw yesterday that he is at home and resting, and we wish Oscar all the best on a speedy recovery. But I would be remiss if I wouldn't thank the entire Triller Fight Club Brain Trust from moving an event in just over a week from Los Angeles here to South Florida. I'm talking about Ryan Kavanaugh. I'm talking about Bobby Snarnovich. I'm talking about Thorsten Meyer. I'm talking about the entire Triller Fight Club team. And also, Legends 2 is being produced by the mastermind behind American Idol, and he's done so many big programs in the world of entertainment, Nigel Lithgow. So it takes a concerted effort to put on an event of this magnitude. With that being said, I want to go ahead and bring up, in my estimation, not even my estimation, it is a fact. He is the greatest ring announcer of all time. When it comes to big prize fights, nobody gets everybody excited better than this man. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the legend, Michael Buffer.
Thank you, Ray. I wonder if you could do me a favor, though. Could you bring out Andy and Jono?
Absolutely. You know what? That's a great point. If we want to bring up Andy Vences and Jono Carroll here, as they're going to start off the pay-per-view to give them their proper introduction. If we want to go ahead and bring up Andy Vences and Jono Carroll make their way to the stage, we're going to ask them questions, as I'm sure we are efforting them, Andy Vences and Jono Carroll. I saw Andy here earlier, a couple of minutes ago. And let's bring up Jono Carroll, ladies and gentlemen, from Dublin, Ireland. Let's give it up for Jono Carroll, the super featherweight, sit on the end. And then also we want to bring up Andy Vences as well, ladies and gentlemen. Both men focused and determined. And now I will turn it over to the greatest of all time,
thank
Michael
you,
Buffer.
Ray. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for coming here to the Fort Lauderdale Marriott Harbor Beach Resort and Spa. A fantastic place. And we're all glad to be here because this is the final press conference as Triller Fight Club proudly presents Legends 2. It'll be at the Hard Rock Live Theater. That's at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. The action is Saturday night. It's available live on Fight TV pay-per-view. Now, we've got Jono and Andy here, two of the best super featherweights in the world. They'll be competing Saturday night, weighing in tomorrow with the rest of the fighters. But at this time, I'd like to bring up the 6 fighters that are going to appear in the 3 fights that it's an event like no other. I mean, these guys, some of the greatest athletes in the world will face off against each other. So let's meet them at this time. First of all, let's bring out, he's from London, England, by way of Monaco, and from what I understand, that might be the other way around, and he'll let us know. But in the boxing ring, a perfect professional record. 9 fights, 9 victories, all 9 by knockout victory. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the athlete, entrepreneur, the fighter, Joe the Billionaire Fournier. And his opponent Saturday night, one of the best athletes to ever step into the ring. In his boxing career, 28 victories, 26 wins by knockout, Ladies and gentlemen, from London, England, the former unified cruiserweight world champion and the former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, David the Haymaker Haye. There he is, looking like a movie star, David Haye. And in another fight, this is unbelievable. These are two UFC legends facing each other in the boxing ring. First of all, he's known as the Huntington Beach Bad Boy. Ladies and gentlemen, his record in the UFC, 21 victories, 10 of those by knockout, 5 by submission. He's the former light heavyweight UFC champion, the Huntington Beach Bad Boy, Tito Ortiz. Tito and his opponent, two UFC legends going against each other with boxing gloves in the square ring. Ladies and gentlemen, 35 victories, 23 knockouts, 3 by submission. An MMA legend from Brazil, now living and training out of Los Angeles, California. He is Anderson the Spider Silva. And now two unbelievable fighters. First of all, his record as an MMA fighter, 27 victories, 18 wins by knockout, 2 by submission. As a boxer, he's already competed in the ring. He made his debut. That's by knockout victory. He comes to us from Brazil, now living and training out of Boca Raton, Florida, right nearby. The former Cage Rage World Champion, the former UFC Light Heavyweight Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Vitor the Phenom Belfort! And this next fighter is a guy I've introduced many times in the world of boxing. A first ballot International Boxing Hall of Fame world champion. 44 victories in the ring. 29 of those by knockout. He's the former undisputed and undefeated cruiserweight world champion. He then became the undefeated heavyweight world champion. As a fighter, he did what nobody else has ever done. Not Muhammad Ali, not anyone. He captured a world heavyweight championship 5 times. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Boxing Hall of Fame, from Atlanta, Georgia, he's the former undefeated cruiserweight world champion, the former 5-time heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Real Deal Holyfield. Good to see everybody here. You know, Ray, I'm going to turn it back to you, and this is going to be an unbelievable bunch of conversations, I can see for sure. Ray, take it away.
Thank you very much, Michael Buffer, and we have all 4 fights that are going to be on pay-per-view this upcoming Saturday night here from South Florida. Make sure to join us. It's not just these 4 fights, but amazing entertainment. And we will also get into the alternate commentary as well as we continue with the press conference. But I'm going to go ahead and start off from our opening fight, work my way up when it comes to talking with the fighters. I'm going to look over to my left from Ireland, Jono Carroll. Jono, you were supposed to match up against Andy Vences in June. Obviously, a couple of delays, but now we are finally here. How excited are you to be able to finally step inside the ring against your adversary on Saturday night?
Yeah, I'm very excited. This has been a long time coming. The last camp I had was, I sacrificed a lot just to be there, you know. I had a baby in hospital at the time, and I had a premature baby, strong little man. But I had to leave camp for 5 weeks to go over in Mexico, grind, sacrifice. But the thing is with boxing, it's if you don't make the sacrifices, then your dreams will become the sacrifices. You know what I mean? So I made those sacrifices. I worked extremely hard, I was very, very disappointed, I have to say, when I came to Miami last time and the show got cancelled 4 days out. I was at the putting serious graft in, sacrificed a lot just to be there. Very frustrating time, but at the same time, this is boxing. You know, it's the one thing what this sport does is always be prepared for the unexpected, you know, because many things has happened in the fight game in general, UFC, everything, you know. So I'm just really excited now that the time is finally here. Like I can show my skills to the world, especially on such a massive platform. Sitting here with a lot of legends. Like I've been watching all these men growing up as a kid, you know what I mean? So this is like a dream come true. Just to be on stage with men like these. My hat goes off to all the men here, respect. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting it on, really am.
Andy, for you, being able to sit next to the individuals that you are on the dais with to open up the night, how much do you want to go out and really make a statement to try to go ahead and get the rest of the world talking about your fight? Because all of these fights are extremely compelling and have unique storylines.
Nah, well, respect to all the champs, all the fighters right here lined up. No disrespect to any of the champs here, but I got to do my job and take care of business. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity. I am happy to be here, but at the end of the day, I got to come to do my job. Then I'll be able to sit back and you know, see their fights. But, you know, hearing what Carroll had to say, all I have to say is it was supposed to be the fight the last time around. And you knew that fight was going to happen sooner or later. None of us knew when. And boxing's like that, like you said. It's very unexpected. But you ought to tell them how was your time after that. It looks like you had a good time. I was in the gym. I was grinding every day. And it's funny because you come with a different energy this time. It's way different than last time because you're right. Last time you had a 5-week camp. You were ready. I could feel it. I saw your energy, but your energy's fucking different now. And this is going to be the difference, bro. The consistency. And that's the difference between any fighter. Is how consistent can you be when no one's watching, when no fight's guaranteed?
Mate,
you don't
all
got
I can
it,
say
bro.
is,
you don't
hold
got
on.
It. And
Shush
you're
there,
getting touched by it.
shush there, little man. I'll go over and give you a slap. All I can say is, the night this got called off,
touch me.
The night this fight got called off, I was out jogging. I was out training. I stay training 24/7. This isn't a job where I get a call in 5 weeks like I did this time. Oh, be ready in 5 weeks. I'm a 24-hour committed professional,
Tell them how that family vacation was, bro.
What family vacation?
How that family time was. Tell them, bro.
Don't
tell them about the week job.
Mate, I live in Marbella. I live on a family vacation. All day in my life is a family vacation.
How about the jet skis and the barbecue? How was all that
The jet
shit?
skis and the barbecue was great, mate. Living
All
life.
right, bro.
Living life like a king.
All my boys follow you, bro.
Like the motherfucking king I am, bro. I live life every day. Every day above ground is a good day for me. That's all I'm saying.
Andy, are you saying that he's not taking training seriously? Is that what you're saying pretty much to summarize what you're saying?
No, look. I come to every fight the same. Whether it be Carroll, whether it be someone else, right? I really got to prepare like this is the guy, right? I always prepare like that. My dad ingrained that in me when I was little. Like, it don't matter if you're fighting this guy from Mexico, like, you got to get ready like it's the last fight. But why? Because you don't play boxing. And he told me that when I first joined the sport. I know Carroll's ready. I know he's coming to fight. But I just know I'm the better fighter. I like skill set wise, mind wise, mature wise. Like everything I do is better. I look better than him. I am better than him. Like my trainer's better than him. I know my trainer's more.
Except your beard, mate. Your beard definitely ain't better than my beard. Look at that beard, mate. Like, you look like a little 90s porn star. That's what you look like.
Then that's the thing. He brings up jokes, like try to throw me off. Like I'm so focused. Like none of this shit bothers me. I love this shit. I love fighting. I fought in the streets. I did this for no money. Like that's how I started. For 1-0, I sold tickets to fight on shows.
Mate, ask any boxer, UFC. We've all done there. We've all been there.
I fought and sold tickets. My manager passed away. I had to keep going. I held down jobs throughout my whole career.
Let's move on to, gentlemen, we will let you guys...
I've been through more shit. I know I've been through more shit.
We'll get back to you guys. These guys obviously don't like each other. That's the first fight of the night. Can you believe that on pay-per-view?
Fuck out of here, boy.
It's going to be fun, boy.
Let's get to Joe Fournier and David Haye. We will come back to you guys. Don't worry. We'll get back to you. I promise. Let me get to Joe Fournier, David Haye. Joe, this is a fight that happened. You guys are in Greece. You guys were friends. You guys are having a good time. And then someone said something about who would win between the two of you. David, from what you tell me, you said it would be a draw, being diplomatic about it. Joe, you said, no, screw that. I would beat him. The next day, David said, you doubled down on that. Now you're here. What's going through your mind is you're getting ready to take on the former cruiserweight and heavyweight champion of the world in David Haye.
Well, I mean, you're giving a guy hospitality in your mansion in Mykonos. You'd think he'd tell the girl you're trying to hit on that you'd win. But his ego couldn't even let him do that, so he had to say it'd be a draw. That's David Haye. At the end of the day, if you were to compare us, he's a Corvette. Brutal power, fast, can only go in one direction. And I see myself as a Rolls Royce, a little bit more refined, more expensive. And he's going to see where elegance beats brute power on the night.
David, your response to that?
Okay. There's going to be a ring, there's going to be a referee, and you're going to get punched in the head. All of the slick analogies go out the window when that bell rings. Just know that. You know, it sounds, you know, I love that the passion of the young lions here, but you can't buy that. You can't buy the energy that these young guys, these warriors have. You can't buy that feeling. And you're going to realize that when that first bell rings on Saturday.
Joe, how much does this fight mean to you? Because, you're 9-0. You picked up, you fought back in April on the undercard of the Jake Paul Ben Askren extravaganza down in Atlanta. But what does this fight mean to you?
Well, everyone knows I don't fight for the money, so...
Well, obviously not. I mean, you have a lot of, zeros in your bank account, but that's another topic for another day.
Thanks. So for me, it's legacy, right? It's no one at 9-0, no manager would say, hey, you know what you should do? Go fight a unified cruiserweight and heavyweight world champion for a laugh at the age of 38. So, but the way I see it, I grew up as a dishwasher, actually, was my first job. So I skipped a lot of steps to get to where I am. It wasn't mummy or daddy's money. I grew up in the hood, 5 of us in a studio apartment in Hounslow, London. So to be here today, I'm already in a video game. I got all these guys that I used to play as in video games. So why not go and try and beat the colossal David Haye? Because at the end of the day, I'm a businessman, I'm an investor. I look at assets decreasing before I buy them, refurb them, sell them on, right? He's a decreasing asset, I see that. He says about all these incredible things he's gonna do in the ring, but sure, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be in the ring with him. I'm not stupid either. I'm here because of my brains. But, 40-year-old David Haye, torn Achilles, torn biceps, who knows what other injuries he has back there, whereas I lived a good life. Lobster keeps you healthy.
David, when he says all these things and he's insulting you, does that...
This is what the conversation exactly was like in Mykonos.
Okay, so we're getting a simulation of that here.
There's only one way to straighten this out.
Saturday night.
Get a referee and let the punches flow. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait. I really can't.
Yeah.
I've got that. Joe's a friend of mine, genuinely, and I don't want to do horrendous damage to him, but this game is hard to do boxing without doing damage. It's not that game. It's not a game of darts. We're going to throw punches at each other. And I punch significantly harder than you, faster than you, got more experience doing that one thing. It's not a business transaction. This one is a life and death one. Just letting you know now. Take this serious, I'm just telling you.
As long as your bicep doesn't snap doing it.
The PSA warning has been told by David Haye.
I've got 2 biceps. Remember, I only need one, maybe half. Half a bicep.
Just wonder why one is so much bigger than the other.
Let's get into the co-main event as, boy, oh boy, what an eventful press conference already, if I do say so myself. Let's go with the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. I watched him walk in, and man, oh man, talk about being all business, focused, determined. Tito Ortiz jumping inside the boxing ring. How are you feeling as you prepare to take on the Spider, Anderson Silva?
Actually, this camp was super short, but I'm used to 13 to 14-week camps just because of mixed martial arts. You got to do kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, weight training, of course, dieting. This is considered completely just with boxing. Learning more feet work, head movement, combinations, throw with numbers. Of course, dieting was a big part of this. But a lot of road work. The first time in the last 8 years that I've been able to do 4 miles a day for the last, 5 weeks now, 7 days a week. I've been very focused on this fight. I'm getting to fight one of the best mixed martial artists to ever grace the octagon, Anderson Silva. But to him to get me down to 195 pounds is going to be a challenge. But I take challenges in strides. Every single competition I've always competed against. And for this one, I'm not going to change. I know what I need to do to beat Anderson. He's 2-1 in boxing. I'm 0-0, but I just want to make a statement. I want to make sure that I make a statement on his face on Saturday night and do what I do best, and that's punish people. I've been doing it for 24 years, and to be able to share the ring with these great boxing champions, men like Evander Holyfield, sir, nothing but respect to you. As a kid growing up, I've always watched you and Mike and how you dismantled Mike. Tyson's a friend of mine also, but I watch boxers, and I have nothing but respect for boxers coming from the mixed martial art game myself. I'm learning something of the sweet science of boxing. And learning the sweet science of boxing takes a lot of time, but I've learned it in super fast progression just because of Jason Perillo, my boxing coach, and watching guys like Vitor Belfort, watching guys like Anderson Silva. And this is something that I'm excited to do on Saturday night, live on pay-per-view. And make sure everybody text Tito to 75303 so we can work on this pay-per-view. This will shoot up through the numbers through past 1 million. And I'm very happy to see that our former president, Donald Trump, is going to be hosting. This is an amazing opportunity for this country. And I think people are very diverse and separated from each other right now. I think we need to really focus on what this country is about, and that's really unity. That's what makes America great. And September 11th is the date that we need to remember what happened 20 years ago. And this is for this country. This is what I'm fighting for. Anderson Silva, once again, is a great champion, but I know what I need to do. And to get my hand raised on Saturday night, I'm going to do it.
Tito Ortiz, ladies and gentlemen, and now we transition to the former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Anderson. You fought inside the boxing ring in June. It's been less than 3 months, but do you like this continuation of continuing being inside the boxing ring? And now you go from Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to the Huntington Beach bad boy, Tito Ortiz, someone who I know you are quite familiar with within the fact that you guys were in the MMA world together.
Well, first of all, thank you for everybody coming here, and I'm very excited for this fight, and I love challenging myself, I love challenging my life, and I love fighting. Especially when I have this card, Evander Holyfield, Vitor Belfort, and all the fighters here. I'm so happy to be here, and I go do my best, and continue showing my respect for boxing world.
Tito, how advantageous is it for you to try to make this a physical fight? So close the distance, make him uncomfortable. You are the bigger man, obviously. You have to cut down to 195. But how much is that in your consciousness to try to make this a gritty, tough kind of fight? I mean, is that what your approach is? Not giving away your game plan, but is that what you might be thinking?
I'm no boxer. I'm going to come here and I'm going to fight. I'm going to try to knock him out. That's my job. I'm going to come in, I'm going to punch him through his face. I got to touch him, and I know I got to touch him in numbers. He's fast, he's elusive, he moves well. But once again, me at 195, I'm going to be a lot faster than I was at 205. A 10-pound difference, yeah, that makes a huge difference just because I don't have the muscle size I did when I was at 205. But once again, I'm here to kick ass. That's my job. I'm here to entertain. That's my job. I've been doing it for 24 years. I'm not stopping on Saturday night.
Anderson, dealing with the bigger man in Tito Ortiz, how do you plan to combat that?
This is good. I think it's a very interesting fight coming Saturday, and I don't like too much to talk, I like to do my job. That's I come here, and that's I go to make my job serious. That's the point.
And also, I believe your son is going to be fighting as well, correct? He will be fighting on the undercard, if I'm correct on that?
Yeah, my student and my friend and my brother, Eliezer, go fight in the undercard. My son Gabriel training, but something happens, not fighting in the same card. But maybe next time.
We look forward to that. Now we transition to our main event of the evening. Vitor Belfort and Evander Holyfield. Vitor, you looked great at the workout yesterday. Obviously, a changed opponent, Evander Holyfield. You go from Oscar De La Hoya to Evander, but you didn't stop training. For you to be main eventing for Triller on Saturday night on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, what is the significance to you?
Well, it's a joy. That's the word I can describe. It's a joy. remember when I was fighting my first UFC tournament. In the same month, I saw our legend Holyfield fight Tyson for the second time, beat him up. And he just saw in how my dream was to see MMA become as big as boxing. That's being my sacrifice that I did along with a lot of the other fighters. And be able to, I said it was an upgrade from business class to first class. I'm fighting a gold medals, multiple champion, but he's the heavyweight king. Holyfield is the real deal. And so it's an upgrade, and I'm looking forward to show my boxing skills. And it's an amazing change and amazing opportunity.
And for you, Evander, you fought, obviously, the who's who. An illustrious career. The fact that at 58 years of age, you still have that desire to test yourself. But this fight is totally different compared to anything you've ever been in there against. How are you approaching this fight against the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world in Vitor Belfort?
Well, I got into this because I was getting ready to fight Mike Tyson. That's what I'm looking for. For 2 whole years, the fight just kept going and kept going. So at this point in time, and I was into another fight that I was supposed to do that didn't happen. And they asked me would I do that. I said, well, if he wanted to do it, I'd do it because I wanted to get paid for my time. I put my time in. Only thing that you can waste in life is time. And so I've been training for 2 years. They said, well, how you do this for a week and be ready? For 2 years, I've been training. And so, I'm more than ready, and I look forward to the fight.
For you, Vitor, to be able to try to, how do you see this fight playing out? Because stylistically, it's so vastly different than that of Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, you were the bigger man prior to the fight with De La Hoya. Now you're the smaller man. So it obviously, does that change your thought process heading into this fight against Evander Holyfield?
Yeah, it's all about the mentality. My mentality is like, I remember in UFC was have 2 weight divisions, under 200 pounds, above 200 pounds. There's too many weight divisions in boxing. I think it's too many politics in boxing. And when you go into a legendary fight, legacy fight, we're talking about a fight that has never been done in history. This has never been done in history. Just to be able to collide and have that opportunity in my side, I see everything in my life. A problem for me, I just changed the name. Problem is for me is an opportunity. If you change the word problem as an opportunity, you become more optimistic. You become more happy, joyful, and I think that's how I learned the process in my life. So it's a great change. And remember, the king of the jungle is the elephant, is the lion, it's not the elephant for a reason. So size for me is speed, power, agility, and I'm not intimidated by the size, and a lot of fighters are, so I kind of enjoy it.
Evander, you mentioned that you were sort of preparing for, Mike Tyson, but do you see some similarities in regards to Tyson and Vitor in terms of the aggression, the passion, the fact that he likes to come forward?
Well, no. I'm like, everybody know that Mike Tyson was very aggressive, and this is the way he fight. The fact is, with me, when I look at fights, I realize that I can box better than all these other fighters. I can outbox them. I didn't never say I can outfight them. But if I outbox them first, then on the back end they want to fight, I beat the daylights out of them because I'm good in boxing. The thing is that it's the art to the game, and so the art of the game is that who actually fighting what they know how to do. I know how to box, and that's the reason I was able to do real well with all the big guys. The big guys, they were bigger than me. They may hit harder than me, but they could not box me. And so I'm telling you, just going into this, it's gonna be hard to outbox me. And
Now, I'm not in MMA. I wouldn't do that because I know you probably hurt me, but not in boxing. So I'm always doing things to my advantage. That's the reason I can do this in this short period of time. I'm 58 years old, but I'm in shape, and I do well for my age.
All right, now we're going to open up for questions from the media. Alan Gomez, a part of our staff. Raise your hand if you have questions for all 8 fighters that are going to be on pay-per-view this upcoming Saturday night. Raise your hand if you have questions. Alan, I believe we have some questions over here. Tom, by all means, go ahead.
I think I may be the only one who's been on the opposite side of Evander when Fresno Kendo fought him. And I'll say one thing so you know. I thought I had a game plan that could beat him. I didn't. We lost. He can fight. Fres told me he's the hardest he's ever been hit by Evander. So I'm really looking forward to how he's going to do. But with David Haye, the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and Evander, could we possibly down the road see an undisputed cruiserweight champion versus another undisputed cruiserweight champion? What do you guys say?
Well, it's up to him. My whole thing is that, I'm like, it don't make me no different. My whole thing, I love what I'm doing, and I take one fight at a time. So, actually what I'm saying right now, I don't even want to think about it because I got to do this first. I don't get to think about something else when I ain't got through with my first job yet.
I concur.
All right, and at this time now, we want to go ahead and Saturday night, we are bringing you various portions of, this is entertainment, this is boxing, but also you're going to get alternative commentary from the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And now I want to bring up his son. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Donald Trump Jr., ladies and gentlemen. He's going to explain further in detail about what is going on Saturday night. Donald Jr., by all means, and I think he wants to go ahead. This is yours.
Let's go, champ. What's going on, guys? How are you? Listen, it's great to be here. It was sort of funny. So this all started with Triller for the original Mike Tyson fight, and I knew some of the guys involved on Triller, and I was talking about it with my father, and I think it was happening might have been Thanksgiving, and we were at Camp David as a family. And we started talking boxing, and I think Evander and I know Tito could speak to this, but I was with my father, and the fight recall that he had from decades in Atlantic City, from hosting some of the earliest UFC events, some of the biggest boxing matches anywhere in the world, was incredible. So as we were watching that fight, just listening to his commentary, I said, this is something special, because I don't think people fully understand or appreciate just how involved he was in that world. Just how, he remembered weight classes of people from 20 years ago and the details, and it was just awesome to watch. And just sitting there as a family hearing him talk, I said, man, there's something really cool here. Now that Florida's our backyard, now that we have relationships with so many of the guys that are up here right now fighting, I know Evander forever, with my father. Vitor's become a friend more recently, but I know you were there early on, multiple different types of fights with Trump. Tito, 15 years? 18? We don't even want to talk about it. That's how long it is, right? So I even feel old at this point with that. But I was talking with him about it the other day, and I know Ryan Kavanaugh from Triller and some of his friends, and I said, how about we do something more than just attend the fight and do something cool? Because it was just so awesome. And listening to my father hear about these fighters, I think we know Donald Trump's usually good for some good sound bites, but this is actually very much his world, where it all started for some of him. And so I thought it'd be really cool, and all of a sudden it just sort of happened. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'd be watching it sort of anyway. Now we actually get to talk about it and integrate some of that history, that just incredible fight stuff, and really do something I think cool for boxing that has probably lost some of what it used to have, and that's because of the incredible advent of UFC and MMA. But I think this is really going to be special, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you, guys. Yeah, if we want to do some questions, I don't want to take away from these guys because these are obviously legends. They doing it actually. But happy to take a couple if they want it. Well, I don't know if that's a question or a statement, but, not that we want to get political, but, no, I mean, listen, I think unfortunately America's learning the hard way that they've been sort of lied to and manipulated by a media. I mean, you're seeing the results of that every day, right? I wake up every day, I go to sleep thinking that we've hit rock bottom, and then you see another thing like we leaving Americans behind, the economy, the border. It goes on and on. That's not what this is about. This for me is actually, and my father, sort of a reprieve from that. I mean, I was at Tyson Spinks. There's a sort of a great picture of me. I'm actually now, because if we talk politics, I mean, Herschel Walker's now running for Senate in Georgia. There's a picture of me. I'm probably about 6 or 8 years old with a bowl cut. I had a bowl cut. We may have to make those great again. But I'm sitting on Herschel Walker's lap at Tyson Spinks. So for me, it's just cool to be there, and having seen so many of those cool things when I was a kid, before I even probably could fully appreciate what was going on. So, to see these legends doing this, and, watching the training and all of that they've done as I followed on social media for the last few months, it's just awesome. So I'm super psyched about it.
I don't. Listen, I'm from Scotland. I know you've got some Scottish blood in you, so the good man. We've got one billionaire on the card in Joe Fournier, and we see what he's done. He's 9-0. But we ever see yourself? I mean, you're a boxing fan. You've got loads of knowledge in the boxing game, like as you've just shown there. So we ever see you in the ring, maybe?
I don't know about that. I think this is the one place I don't mind fighting on many different levels. I'm sort of a fighter. This is a little bit different, right, Evander? I don't know. And it's unusual for a Trump to probably say that. Maybe I'm just not quite in that. But, listen, I spent time growing up doing it. I understand it, and I appreciate it. I want my sons to get into that game because, honestly, I just think watching this country, and maybe even the world, but especially here, I think that fight game for kids and for young men to make them men, and for women to have that element of self-defense, I think it's incredible. So I want to bring my boys and have them see that and make them fully appreciate that, so they can get into that and take care of themselves. Because unfortunately, I think there's far too few men that can do that these days. So another added benefit.
Don, I got a question for you up here, and it's great that you guys are providing alternative commentary. But what is it like for you to be? You guys have been ingrained in combat sports for such a long time. And now kind of coming back with everything you guys did in, political ventures, but now kind of coming back here, it's like life works full circle. And Tito can attest to this, Evander can attest to this, but for you guys to be a part of this event, seeing all these guys over the years, and now lo and behold, Triller says, hey, guess what? You guys want to do commentary? By all means. What's this like for you?
Again, like I said, it's just kind of cool. I'd probably be doing it anyway. We just happen to be doing it with other people listening. That's what it is. I mean, some of my earliest, like I said, childhood memories were at some of these incredible fights. I mean, fights that will literally go down in history. And that's not just boxing. Again, in MMA as well. And so just to be able to be a part of that, to do that, to sort of be able to, frankly, let loose. Now, I'm sure if you get a couple hours of unfettered Trump commentary, it's going to be no holds barred. It may get more vicious than some other fights. Who the hell knows? But, for me, it's just sort of cool to be able to have that reprieve where it doesn't have to just be about politics, to be able to talk about those stories, to be able to talk about that history, to hear my father talk about it. I think people will actually get another side. I think the guys on this dais probably understand just how ingrained he was in that world and for how long. I don't know that many of the viewers would fully understand or appreciate that. So I think they'll see a different side of him, a really knowledgeable side of him. And, again, he's usually pretty fun to have, especially sort of in an uncensored, unfiltered, long format thing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just really psyched to do it.
Is it nice that you guys can just sort of kick back, relax, and just, now you have the world listening, but I know you guys like going to fights, kicking back, relaxing, so we get to pretty much hear what you guys are saying to each other, but for the entire world this time.
Yeah, listen, I think the idea is you're in the living room with us. We'd be doing this as a family, if we weren't in attendance, or we'd be, sitting in one of the front rows and doing the same thing and having that conversation. Now everyone else gets to listen in, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. Again, I just have the utmost respect for all of the guys on this day as just, legends, and just to see them still doing it is just awesome. So I'm really psyched about it.
Michelle Phelps, you have a question?
Yeah, Don, I'm just curious. You've been watching boxing since you said you were really young. So who would you say is your favorite fighter watching growing up, and who is your current favorite fighter?
Ooh. Well, listen, Tyson Fury's doing some amazing things, currently. I mean, growing up, I was at some of the more obscure fights for some of these fighters that, and I got a taste of boxing, and I also got a taste of politics, right? Because I think there was a lot of politics in boxing. Whether it's, watching Vinny Pazienza in some of those fights back in the day that, I remember, I think one of those, I was sitting next to either Lennox or one of the great fighters, and he's calling the fight, and I sort of learned a little bit about calling a fight from the perspective and from the eyes of a world-class boxer, and we sort of came up with the result. I was like, okay, I think I got this game, and then you see it go to the decision, and it's like, how the heck did they get that? So maybe that was some of my first taste of actual politics, because it was infused, in the game. So there were so many, and I think, obviously, watching Mike Tyson and having been to those fights, again, Tyson Spinks, I saw Tyson McNeely sort of in the comeback. I was at so many of these watching Evander. I mean, I think I've been to most of them, but, it was funny. I was talking to my dad the other night as we were talking about this and just saying, hey, this could be kind of cool, talking about, Evander. He goes, man, didn't always get the credit, but anyone who stepped in the ring with Evander was in for a really, really, really long night. and I think that's 100% accurate. And so, and you could say the same about any of these guys. I mean, Vitor in the UFC with Affliction, Tito, same. I mean, Anderson, just incredible stuff. And so, again, it's just going to be cool to do this. It's going to, just to be able to totally, get out of the sort of everyday mindset for us, which, frankly, if you look at what's going on in the world and you look at sort of the attacks that he's faced for the last 5 years, ever since he decided to become political, right? The same people that loved him for years all of a sudden hated him magically overnight. It's funny how that happens. But to be able to, step off, and I'm sure there'll be some politics mixed in because we can't help ourselves, but it'll make for, I think, fun commentary, and I think it'll be great. So for me, it'll be awesome just to be able to step back from that, to be able to have some fun. I think the most stressful aspect for me is going to be able to, make sure he behaves a little bit for 4 hours of open mic night. That could get interesting, but no, it's going to be awesome, and we're just looking forward to it.
And Don, to my knowledge, wasn't the Evander Holyfield George Foreman fight in Atlantic City, and I'm sure you guys hosted it, you guys were a part of it, things along those lines?
I'm pretty sure that was Trump Plaza.
Yeah,
right?
Trump,
so,
yeah, absolutely.
Back in the day. So, yeah, just, again, I mean, he's literally ingrained in what would have been, the last half century of boxing, and frankly fighting. I mean, you've seen, Dana get on stage. I won't say anything bad about Trump. He gave us a shot when no one else would even consider, hosting the UFC. I remember, going to one of the early fights in Atlantic City of the UFC, and we were sitting next to Tank Abbott, one of the original, and he put his dentures on the seat.
Wow.
Next to me, and I'm sort of like, what's going on here? That was his placeholder for, I guess, his girlfriend. I'm like, okay. So, just being that ingrained in it for a while, I think, again, it'll be sort of cool. I've never really commentated on it. I've never totally new. But I think, for a city kid from New York, I probably have a pretty decent understanding of the game. And I'm psyched to be able to talk about it. And honestly, I was just psyched to listen to my father talk about it in long form because of the conversation, like I said, I had with him. I was like, he remembered weight classes from like the late 80s and when people moved up or down and what happened. And I'm sitting there like someone else has to actually hear this because it was sort of amazing.
Well, what I love about also the combat sports is there no truer form of sport than two guys in a ring going at it. To me, that is the truest form of sport. You're not playing a game, you are fighting and going head to head in combat.
100%. I mean, it's, whether it's any of those or even, wrestling, that is the one-on-one that everyone's looking for. That is sort of, the ultimate test of self-worth, of individualism. So, again, a big part of it, and again, why we're here, and I think why it's so popular today. It has been for centuries and will continue to be forever because it is the ultimate.
Well, Don Jr., thank you so much. We're going to keep asking the fighters questions. Looking forward to your commentary alongside your father. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Donald Trump Jr.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you so much, and we are looking forward to your commentary. But also, as we get set for Saturday night, I want to go ahead and go around the dais real quick And quickly, I want to get predictions. Jono, Carroll, you, Andy, Vences, obviously you guys exchanged pleasantries, but Jono, Carroll, on Saturday night, when you take on Andy Vences on Triller Fight Club pay-per-view, how's the fight going down?
I think it's going to be a very technical fight for the first few rounds. We're both at the stage in our career where we're not kids anymore. We both have a good understanding of the game. So it's going to be a very technical fight, chess match, as boxing at its finest always is. And then I see the fight progressing. It's gonna get rough and rugged in there at times. It's gonna be exciting night. I'm really looking forward to it. But I half fancy a little TKO maybe, because I'm not a big puncher, but maybe a TKO victory, 6 or 7.
6 or 7 TKO, according to Jono Carroll. Andy Vences, Saturday night to open up the pay-per-view. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific time, Triller Fight Club here in South Florida. How is your fight going to unfold against Jono Carroll?
It just depends how he's going to take the punch, how he's going to take the power. I think a lot of people overweigh my power, but I've been in a lot of fights where people tend to fight me differently once they feel my power. For sure, the fight will be competitive. I mean, I'm obviously fighting a guy who has experience. You know, I'm not going in there with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. But it's all going to be based on, for sure, a technical fight. On my end, I'm going to be a different fighter. You know, I know a lot of people look at my last fights. I built my new trainer for 14 months in the gym with no guarantee of a fight, 5 days a week for 14 months. So it's totally going to be a different Andy than you've seen before, a mixture of everything. And I don't know. I'm not gonna call a knockout just because it all depends how he takes the punch. Every fighter takes a punch differently. But for sure, yeah, the first rounds are gonna be competitive, just like in any fight. And just like in any fight, the separation shows after the 4th, 5th rounds who's the elite fighter and who's the better fighter, and that's how it's gonna go down. If it ends sooner, it ends sooner. If it ends later, it ends on my end. Obviously, technically, conditioning, all that's gonna come into play.
Andy Vences, Jono Carroll. Joe Fournier, the billionaire, taking on the haymaker David Haye. Will you shock the world? How do you see your fight unfolding against David Haye?
You know, before I got here, I was planning to know that he's going to come out like a Corvette and try and kill me in the first round. And now I've seen him a bit up closer. He doesn't look as big as he used to be. So I think I'm going to knock him out in the first round.
First round knockout?
First round knockout. I'm going to put it on him, see what he has left, see if that shoulder holds up. Let's make sure he keeps his hands up.
A first round knockout according to Joe Fournier. So you're doubling down on that.
Double down.
Doubling
We're
down.
in the casino, double down. Let's
Man, oh man, yeah, we are actually. Like Ceremonial Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, he's doubling down on it. David Haye, you just heard that Joe Fournier said he's going to knock you out in the first round.
Well,
What's your prediction?
Well, there you go. My prediction is so obvious. There are levels to this boxing game. And I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to turn the heat up gradually. I don't believe you could take the heat. I believe you're going to quit in the corner. I believe you're just going to think, what have I signed up to? This sounded good in my head when I was on stage and the cameras were rolling. That first round knockout was such a silly thing to say. Now he's punishing me now. I'm not sure if I can come out of this when you're breathing the blood in. It's not nice. We've all done that before. You haven't. All of us know the taste of blood. Spitting out when you can't breathe through your nose. When you've ruptured eye socket, perforated eardrum. We've all had it. You haven't. But you're gonna. But how much of it can you take? That's the question. You could feel the passion from the young guys there. No one can question the passion here. But people are going to question the passion. We're going to find out. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to believe you could get past 3 rounds. I believe, or 2 rounds maybe. If you take some severe punishment, you may get through the 2nd and 3rd round maybe.
Why are we talking about the 2nd and 3rd? You're already knocked out.
There you go. There you go. I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't. I am now. I'm looking forward to it. I was feeling pretty bad a little bit, thinking I've got to smoke this poor guy. I'm thinking, unfortunately, it's going to be fun. I'm going to try and enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the process. You're not, but I'm going to enjoy it, and hopefully the fans do too. So I'd say I can't see you going past 3 rounds. Just can't see it.
Well, I can tell you, in that fight, expect, in the words of Mr. T-Pain on either side, because, oh my goodness, they are definitely amped up. Co-main event now, Tito Ortiz, Anderson Silva. Tito, you have fought at the highest level many, many times, over and over and over again, but now you're jumping into a new world against Anderson Silva. How do you see your fight unfolding against the former UFC middleweight champion of the world?
I'm just excited for this fight in general. I want to thank Triller. I want to thank Brett Kavanaugh for giving this opportunity. You're going to get a fight. I'm going to fight. I'm not fighting in a 30-foot octagon. I'm fighting in a squared circle. This is going to fight. I use 2 fists, try to punch through Anderson's face. Anderson's going to do his little magic Wong Chung, Bruce Lee bullshit. I'm going to come in to fight. That's how I know how to do. I'm a fighter. I'm not a boxer. I'm learning boxing. I'm not going to learn. I'm going to continue learning boxing, but I'm a fighter. So I'm going to come in and swing it for the fences. I'm going to entertain the fans that are watching the pay-per-view. I guarantee it.
Anderson Silva, how's your fight going down against Tito Ortiz?
Well, I think I fight for my entire life, you know, and Wing Chun and Bruce Lee stuff saved my life the whole time inside the ring, inside the cage too. And I don't like to talk too much, you know. I like to go inside the ring, go inside the cage and do my job. You know, I'm not here for disrespecting nobody, you know. And I grew up watching boxing, and I trained in boxing for my entire life. I watched Haye Jr., Mr. Holyfield, and the other fighters. And I come here for showing my job, how much I love the sport, how much I love combat fight. And I'm here for do my job. And Saturday, everybody go see, you know.
All right, Anderson Silva, Tito Ortiz, Vitor Belfort, the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, taking on the former cruiserweight and heavyweight champion of the world, the legend himself, Evander Holyfield. How is the fight going to play out?
Well, it's an art. Boxing is an art. So I'm looking to show my skill as a boxer, and been training a lot with Coach Derek. And I have been developing my skills since I was 13. I box. I'm beginning my career. They offered me a big contract to leave MMA and go boxing. I was at lunch, me, Muhammad Ali, his lawyer, my mom, and this agency. And I asked them, can I do both? And they said, no, you have to choose either one. And I choose, my passion is to make MMA big, and I did. I'll be able to reinvent it myself, and to be able to box with a legend as Evander, it's priceless. So I'm looking forward to go out there and show my skill as a boxer.
Evander Holyfield, the legend himself, International Boxing Hall of Famer. How will the fight unfold against Vitor Belfort this Saturday night on Triller Fight Club pay-per-view?
The only thing I can say that, you know, round by round, I take one at a time, meaning that, you know, anything that he get because he earned it. If he make one round, he earned it. 2, he earned it. If he get the 8, because he earned it, I'm going to give my all. And that's the art of the game. Give my all and be the very best I could be.
All right, and now I want the fighters to stay up here. Let's give them a round of applause. But guys, stay up here because we're going to have a ceremonial stare down in a few moments. But on the phone right now, we are joined alongside by the former President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, ladies and gentlemen. President, how are you, sir?
Everybody. I'm very good. Thank you very much. This will be very exciting.
Now, I have a question from Danny Segura from USA Today. He wants to know, how did you become a boxing fan, President?
Well, during the course of my business career, I've held many, many fights. I had Evander, and a great champion, really great champion, and Mike Tyson. We all know about Mike and so many others. I've held many, many fights. And over the course of time, I just really learned to like it. I'd much rather watch it than do it, but I learned to really like it, and the fans like it. There's nothing like a great fight. and I've had plenty of them.
Well, you are obviously ingrained in combat sports. Kevin Aioli of Yahoo Sports wants to know, he states that Evander Holyfield is the only man to have defeated both Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson. Where do you think Evander fits on the all-time scale when you consider that he was both undisputed at both cruiserweight and heavyweight and holds victories over the likes of Mike Tyson, Larry Holmes, and George Foreman?
So Evander was always a smaller heavyweight, and the one thing you knew, whether it was 250 or 260, Evander would fight a lot at around 218. But you knew no matter how big they were and no matter how good they were in for a very rough evening. And they were, I saw some of the greatest Evander fights. He had the famous 10th round, as you know, and I think it was one of the greatest rounds in the history of, we thought Evander was knocked out and Evander came back, and by the end of the round, you know what happened. It was just an amazing fight. But anybody that fought Evander, whether they weighed, in the mid 200s, there were a lot of 260s at that time. Evander was just brutal. Also, Evander is a light heavyweight. I call it light heavyweight, but as a light heavyweight, Bob Foster, I would say, was right up. I think Evander would say was right up there, and I think Evander probably goes down as the greatest light heavyweight, but he wanted to go heavyweight. And even though he was, generally speaking, almost always lighter than other fighters, he was better than almost all of them. He was a great, great champion.
Steve Kim from the 3 Knockdown Rule Boxing Podcast wants to know, what was the most memorable boxing event that you hosted at your property in Atlantic City?
Well, I'd have to say, it was a disappointment in a sense because it didn't last very long. I think it was 97 seconds, but it was Tyson Spinks. And as you know, Michael he was doing great. He was another great, by the way. He was a great light heavyweight, and he went up to heavyweight. He was doing really well with his speed, but Mike Tyson was ferocious at that time. And it was Tyson Spinks was certainly a big event. We had people coming in from Europe, coming in from all over the world. And unfortunately, by the time they sat down, the fight was over. We were ushering people in, and they were walking to their seats and being treated beautifully. And we said, "I'm sorry, sir, you might as well go in the other direction because this fight just ended." I think it was 97 seconds, but it was very quick, first round. And Mike Tyson was a ferocious fighter, and especially at that point in his career, it was very early in his career. I think I had more Mike Tyson fights than anybody else by far, a lot of them. And he was an incredible. He was really. I don't know how Evander feels because Evander was tough on Mike, but I will tell you, Mike was really somebody that was always very good to me, very nice to me, and he was a great fighter.
President Trump, George Ebro from the Miami Herald wants to know, we knew you were close to Evander Holyfield in his heyday. What does it mean for you to be commentating one of his fights on Saturday night?
Well, it's one of the reasons I'm doing it. And I tell you what, I have been close to Evander. I've been with Evander during some incredible times and during some of his incredible wins. And I've seen Evander in a little bit of a bad time, but he always came out of it. He's a great guy, and he's a great, great fighter. I know Evander's family, and he's a very special guy. Tremendous heart. Now, when they talk about Evander, was always in incredible physical shape. He probably had zero body fat. I think there was probably nobody with, less, as we call it, body fat. But Evander was always in shape. But better than his body was his heart. The guy was just a fantastic person. I don't even know if he can hear me now. I hope he can.
Well, we're listening.
But Evander had tremendous heart.
Want to say something? Evander has something to say to you, President Trump.
Oh, good. Hi, Evander.
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks, Evander.
Well, I truly appreciate the opportunity that I had
in Atlantic City, Trump Taj Mahal.
Yeah,
beautiful
Atlantic
place.
City, because that's when I beat George Foreman, and pretty much I was undefeated in Atlantic City anyway. Yeah.
What a memorable event. Also, President Trump, my final question. This comes from Josh Peter of USA Today. If you had to box somebody on Saturday night, who would it be and what would the fight look like?
Well, if I had to pick somebody in the world, not only a professional boxer, because I'll take a pass on the professional boxers, that can be a very dangerous subject. But if you said, if I had to box somebody,
anybody,
I think probably my easiest fight would be Joe Biden, because I think he'd go down very, very quickly, very, very quickly. You know, he once said, "Oh, I'd like to take him behind the bar," and he'd be in big trouble if he ever did. Now, I think Biden would go down within the first few seconds.
The first few seconds? All right, President Trump, thank you so much for your time. We will see you on Saturday night. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
Hold on, President Trump. Vitor has something to say real quick to you.
Hey, I will add a co-main event, Mr. Trump. It's going to be Trump Jr. versus his son. That's a co-main event.
The co-main event is...
And
Hunter Biden.
this is another great champion, let me tell you. This is, I'm talking right now to another great champion. And that's going to be a very interesting evening. I think people are going to have a great time, and it's going to be great. And Vitor is a fantastic fighter. Always has been for a long time.
All right, thank you so much, President Trump. Again, a round of applause for the President of the United States of America. And let me tell you that President Trump is a big fight fan and has crazy knowledge of boxing and MMA. Now let's have the ceremonial stare downs. We will start off with our opening contest. President Trump and his son, Donald Trump Jr. will be commentating, alternative commentary. We will start off with Andy Vences and Jono Carroll. Stay up here. And also, gentlemen, listen, do not touch each other and let's remain civil. You get paid to throw punches on Saturday, not today or tomorrow. So, Jono Carroll, Andy Vences, this to open up the pay-per-view from the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in Hollywood, Florida. This a matchup at 130 pounds. Face out, guys. Andy, face out, guys. Andy Vences, Jono Carroll, also our lovely ring girls as well from Triller Fight Club. All four of them look lovely today. Face forward, guys. Andy. Face forward. Thank you, gentlemen. Greatly appreciated. All right. Now let's bring up David Haye. Hey, gentlemen, please. You don't get paid to throw punches today or tomorrow, Saturday night. I'll let David Haye get in the middle of them. Thank you very much. All right, now David Haye and Joe Fournier, they match up. Joe Fournier predicting a first-round knockout. David Haye said, okay, watch and see. All right, David Haye, the former cruiserweight and heavyweight titleist against Joe Fournier. Their friendship goes out the window. Bad blood starting to intensify. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Before we get to our co-main event, I'll say this. If President Trump and Joe Biden want to step inside the boxing ring, Triller would love to promote it. I'm all about it. I say, let's make it happen. Nonetheless, co-main event, Anderson Silva, Tito Ortiz. This at 195 pounds, the former UFC middleweight champion of the world against the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, the Huntington Beach bad boy, Tito Ortiz. Face forward, guys. Look at that intensity from both men. Now it is main event time. Evander the Real Deal Holyfield, the former cruiserweight and heavyweight champion of the world, squaring off against the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, the phenom Vitor Belfort. It is Holyfield and Belfort, the main event this Saturday, Triller Fight Club pay-per-view, Saturday night here in South Florida. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Evander Holyfield, Vitor Belfort, 2 days away from their collision on Triller Fight Club pay-per-view. We want to thank all the fighters, Andy Vences, Jono, Carroll. We want to thank Joe Fournier, David Haye, Anderson Silva, Tito, Ortiz, Evander Holyfield, Vitor Belfort, Donald Trump Jr., and the President, Donald J. Trump. And now, gentlemen, all stand and let's get a photo with all 4 pay-per-view fights. Ladies, you can join them on the end. Our lovely ring girls, this is our loaded Triller Fight Club pay-per-view here from South Florida. Don't forget to join us. Also, music and entertainment coming your way as well. It is a loaded night on Saturday night with Vitor Belfort, Evander Holyfield in our main event. Also, Donald Trump, the President, and his son, Donald Trump Jr., providing alternative commentary. I also want to thank our entire Triller team. Ryan Kavanaugh, Bobby Snarnovich, Thorsten Meyer, publicist Bernie Barmazal, the entire team. Great to be here in South Florida. What a night of action. Do not miss it. It is Belfort and Holyfield in our main event. And we will see you guys tomorrow.